Hi, my name is CJ and this is my RC channel. In this series of videos, I'm going to be doing a full detailed build on the Tamiya Buggyra, I guess that's how it's pronounced, Fat Fox. This is for Euro truck racing. It's a very controlled class. The only modifications you can make to this vehicle during the build is to add a bearing kit in place of plastic bushings, and that is a huge improvement, definitely something you need to do. This kit is based on their TT01 chassis. There's a lot of different types of vehicles that fall into that realm that are based on the TT-01. This is a Type E. That really has more to do with whether it's a high torque motor or a high speed motor. This has the torquey motor, as you can see, torque tuned motor. They're all basically an RS 540 can motor brushed. There's very little you can do to tune this vehicle. All the things that you would normally have adjustable on a race vehicle are fixed. Camber, toe, rear camber, all of that is fixed. They are fixed length. Where you would normally have a turnbuckle, it's just a plastic rod with a hole at either end. So you basically race the car as it is. You could try adding a little weight, front or rear. There's something you can do with the front tires to help handling in certain types of track conditions, particularly carpet. I'll cover that later. It's not relevant at this time. Right now we're focusing on building this kit as cleanly and as properly as possible without damaging the kit. This is mostly plastic, and you've got to be careful about over torquing screws and things of that nature, making sure you're using the right hardware. There's an awful lot of it, and the right tools are also important. I highly recommend going to TamiyaUSA.com and getting one of their either their tool set. This Craft Tools basically has everything you're going to need. The screwdrivers in particular are extremely important. Most of the hardware in here is Phillips head screws, and the pitch is not the same as, like, a number 2 screwdriver Phillips is not the same as a Tamiya number 2 Phillips. So you can build it with just general Phillips head screwdrivers, but you stand a fairly decent chance of stripping some of the screws, and that's not good. You may not be able to get them back out again. And some of the screws take a lot of force to drive into the hard plastic, and they go a fairly decent distance into the plastic. So you have to have some torque put onto that. I wouldn't recommend using power tools for any of this except in a disassembly phase. Other than that, I wouldn't touch it, because you stand not only a risk of damaging the screws at that point, but you stand a much bigger risk of cracking plastic. If you over torque a screw too deep, you could split one of the pieces that you're putting together. So don't use power tools on this. As I mentioned, bearings is the only thing that we're going to be changing on this. You can buy different sets of, there's 2 sets of wheels. You have the black wheels, and then there are chromed plastic wheels that you can buy as well, and they sell them in sets. One of the really nice things about racing these is they are very inexpensive. This is probably the absolute least expensive class to race RC. Number 1, because you can't do a lot of modifications to it. In fact, you can't do any other than the bearing kit. So once it's built, you're there. Also, the types of batteries you can use are also controlled. There's really only 2 batteries on the market, packs that you can use. You could use lithium stick batteries or old NiCad sticks, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would go with the 2 lipos that are certified as being appropriate for this, and just stick with that. You'll do just fine. The body, again, you cannot really modify. According to the rules, you have to trim the body on the body lines. You can't like try to shorten the body or anything like that. The idea is to provide a spec class, a truly level playing field where people can come, have a good time. You don't spend, any time really sitting in the pits, tuning and testing and tuning and testing. There's only so much you can do, and then it's just up to the driver. And that's what makes it so much fun and makes it so inexpensive. You don't have to worry about finding the best motor or, tuning an ESC. This kit comes with the motor, the electric speed controller, the kit, wheels, tires, and body. All you really have to add to this, aside from the ball bearing kit, is a servo, receiver, and your transmitter. And unless you're renting it at the track, you need a transponder. But that's it. It's almost everything you need is included, and you have to run the stock ESC. You have to run the stock motor. So the best thing you can do as far as trying to improve things is a good break-in on the motor. That will be a whole separate video unto itself. This is going to be broken up over several videos. I'm going to do a full, very detailed build on this. So if you're seriously thinking about getting one of these, take your time and watch all of these videos and really understand the little tricks and things that come up, how to identify parts, things like that. You're going to have a lot of plastic trees that like you would have with an old style, just a plastic model. So you're going to have to trim those parts off. Some of the parts you might want to do a little bit of finishing on because there are mold lines and things that are going to rotate within each other. You might want to smooth out, and I will go over that as well. You're not allowed to modify the chassis, cut away material to try to make it lighter, things like that. You just build it and race it. So one thing you can do is a good choice of bearings. There are a variety of sealed bearing kits out there. I went with a little more pricey one. I went with a full ceramic set of bearings, and I have two of, this is my second one. The other one I just built. I've raced it one time, 2 weekends. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's unbox. There's our electric speed controller. This is bag C. It has our motor. There's some gears in here. Those would be the bushings that we are not going to use. This is also important. They have some grease that comes with this, but there is another grease that I would advise you to get. You want Tamiya's AW grease, anti-wear. You want to use this in the differentials. The differentials are not sealed. They don't have gaskets, so it's not like a lot of other differentials where you fill it like halfway with grease. These you just want to coat the parts with grease. Any excess grease is just going to get flung off of the gears onto the inner housing, and it's really not going to change the performance of the differential because the grease can leak out. So trying to get a specific amount in there to achieve a certain feel in the diff is not worth it. Now there is a high performance class that these can be raced in as well. That involves it's also fairly limited in its modifications. It's not like a do whatever you want class either. So I'm mainly just for the time being going to race these in the stock spec class. That seems to be what everyone at my club is doing. They're not even racing a modified class. Here we have more body parts, or chassis parts, excuse me. Some of these are suspension, some of these are central chassis parts. We've got bumper attachment parts. Here we have some of our suspension parts. We've got cases for these are the rear differential, front and rear outer differential housings. Rear bumper for the truck. See, the nice thing about the TT01 is that it is such a tried and true design. Tamiya has put all kinds of car bodies onto it, and it's really just a matter of changing the bumpers and changing the body posts. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of body posts that this comes with. Here are our wheels and our tires. You cannot put anything inside them. They do not have a foam inside them, so to make them a little stiffer. You cannot drill extra holes in the wheels or seal up holes to change the amount of air that flows in and out of the wheel during compression. The rules are very strict about not modifying. Here is our pan. This is the first thing that we're going to be opening. Here we have our out drives, axles, and our center drive shaft, as you can see, which is also plastic. Most of this is plastic. That's one of the reasons this is such an inexpensive class to race. I paid $143.90 some cents for this kit, and was the lowest I've seen. Usually I see them around $145. Maybe they were having a sale or something. Anyway, I found it for $143. And when you consider the fact that replacing the electric speed controller is like $78, replacing the motor is almost $20, you've almost bought the car over again. Replacing the body is like $56. So depending on what you damage, you may just want to buy yourself a brand new kit and have a bunch of spares. You probably should pick up some spares too. Some of these parts trees are extremely inexpensive, on the order of between $6 and $8 for a parts tree. So getting parts trees for the front end suspension, like the A-arms and spindle carriers, things that can break in a crash, is probably a good idea. And then you will have those at the, when you get to the track. If you do break something during one of the heats, you can repair the car quick and easy. I have done that myself. Most of the parts I bought directly from Tamiya USA, and some of them I found through RC Mart at the time. And this is 2020, summer of, during the COVID thing. So getting things shipped out of Hong Kong or anywhere in Asia is problematic. It's a lot more time consuming, but I was willing to wait a little while to get those parts in, considering they were going for about 40 to 50% off versus getting them from Tamiya USA. So let's just take a quick look at the body. You're going to trim the front of the cab right here. As you can see, this is our windshield and the roof. Then there's this piece that gets trimmed off. That is the back of the cab. It caps the back. You trim off this little piece of the trailer. All of these parts have to be on. In fact, to qualify to race, you have to have this piece on your car. You have to have the mirrors. If you lose them during the race, you have to replace them before you can race again. These are like a mud flap. You trim these off and attach those to the rear. This is the main body section. You leave this piece intact. Basically just trim around the bottom. And then you have some screws and some two-sided tape that will attach the upper cab onto the body. So I'm going to set these aside, and I may do some paint videos for you later. I'm probably going to be doing a general how-to paint Lexan bodies at some point. I don't have an airbrush. I just use rattle cans. I'm not an expert, but I come up with some pretty good bodies. Here, I'll just show you. This is my finished truck. It's taken a few tumbles, so it's got a few scrapes on it, but not a bad paint scheme. I wanted to do something really bright, really visible. You know, there's a lot of these out there. So if you're racing in a pack, you want some type of paint scheme that you can recognize easily. If everyone was racing, you know, black trucks, that would be kind of problematic. So anyway, I haven't finished doing all the stickers. I just did a few of them, and I was trying to get ready for a race, and then it's kind of just didn't get back to doing the stickers yet. So, but just, you know, this is what it looks like assembled and how big it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.